So, hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Street Entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Arif Punt, and I'm here with Bethany Crystal. She's currently the founder of Build First. So nice to meet you, Ms. Crystal.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess we can get straight into it. So I noticed you have an incredible background in journalism specifically, right? So my first question for you is how you went from being a journalism major into maybe an engineer and entrepreneur that you are right now, and becoming like a builder of builders, right? I mean that's probably the best way I can describe you. So, and honestly, like a mentor of other change makers and things like that, right? So how did you discover that transition, basically?
How much time do you have to answer that question?
I have a lot of time, so.
Well, I would say the first unlock for me graduating from journalism school was realizing that learning journalism did not require me to become a journalist in order to make use of the skills that I learned in school. And once I really was able to boil down those skills into writing, communicating, translating information, talking to people, traveling, it just opened up so many more doors for me right from the beginning of my career. And I ended up working in a tech startup pretty early on.
Oh wow, yeah, that's nice. Okay. So then that kind of I guess leads into the next question of how did the idea of Build First itself come to you? What was like the inspiration by that, or who inspired you to start something for other people to discover their own?
Yeah, well, Build First, I call it an AI learning lab. So I teach people how to build things with AI that they can immediately use in their day to day. Are you building stuff with AI personally?
I mean, yeah, so I actually have a few things going. I have a course, like Alpha Accelerator is what I call it. I just recently launched it. So it's an entrepreneurship camp for like kids. So I'm also trying to help other people build things. It's kind of a parallel to Build First. But I'm using AI, to maybe like, yeah, so basically I'm using AI to maybe like help build a curriculum a bit, or just give a nice like a roadmap. So it's helping the infrastructure for sure of the business. So it's definitely helping in that way. So yeah, that's something I'm building.
That's so cool. I think you're probably latching on to something that I've noticed too, but it took me many more years to sort of figure out, which is that actually learning new technology is about understanding how humans learn. And even though I had worked in the tech industry for 15 years, I was a journalist. I'd never been an engineer or a coder. So I felt like I was never able to really participate in that part of the industry. But when AI came out, when particularly, well, large language models came out, I recognized like, oh my gosh, for the first time ever, I can use my command of the English language to build stuff. And the first thing that I really built was actually an app for my kids where I wanted them to enjoy the museums with me in New York City on the weekends, but they couldn't read. They were only 2 and 4 years old. So I was like, I think I can make an app to make this easier. And over the course of a single weekend, I sat down with basically just Cursor and ChatGPT and said, I want to build an app that takes a piece of art at a museum and translates it for a kid-friendly story. But I want to add like an audio narration and a little voice behind it. So I invented this little meerkat character named Miko the meerkat, which you could see the original version of here. And it was the first time I was able to actually build something on like a Friday and use it on a Saturday. And just there was so much power in being able to do that. And now I really want to empower other people to have that too.
So it's a personal experience, definitely. And I guess, I mean, we can move to that question next, since that you're talking about MuseKat, right? So you talked about, I think the journey of what like inspired you, I guess, to create that. But I guess an extension to that question could be, what have you learned maybe from that journey that you've taken with MuseKat, and why is being curious like important for, other people as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think little Miko the meerkat here is a very big part of my founding story. I have a little
Mhm.
plush stuffed
Oh,
animal version now. I
you've
no
gone
longer
all out
actively
on, yeah.
maintain that up. Yeah, I keep the stuffed animal here as a sort of reminder for me that it was a
Mhm.
great first build, but it wasn't what I needed to build a business. And
Mhm.
I went basically all in on this for like 6 months last year, being really annoying at every museum in New York City, bothering all of my parent friends, going to education conferences, trying to get people excited about this app that I somehow managed to
Mhm.
get in the App Store. Again, not being an
Yeah.
engineer, that was a big deal for me. But then
Mhm.
I kind of recognized it was going to be hard to make money this way.
Yeah.
The industry wasn't quite ready for like kids and AI to be used in that way. There was
Mhm.
a lot of questions. It was like sort of an unclear business model. It was like a cute
Mhm.
idea, but not like an urgent pain point for enough people. And people
Yeah.
started to actually ask me, like, how did you do that? Can we pay you to teach us? So,
Mhm.
like good basic advice I should have followed from day one was like, follow where the money is coming from. And
Mhm.
I booked a couple of training sessions to teach people how to do that. And at the beginning of last summer, I thought I'm just going to run a couple training sessions and then I'll come back to building these like kids apps. But
Yeah.
little did I know, it takes a little more than that to like actually have a
Mhm.
robust business. So now I'm mostly running this trainings business. I'm evolving it. I'm about 1 year in now to calling it Build First, but it's been a journey.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So I guess that also leads me into my next question with what you're doing with Build First, and maybe also your personal use of it. So obviously you're probably using AI on the daily, I assume, because that's
Yeah.
what your whole thing is based around. So my question for you is, who should be using AI? I mean, probably everyone, but like, who specifically do you think would benefit the most? What have you learned is like maybe the best way to use it? And when do you trust your inner gut or your own reasoning versus AI? And also when you decide to use it, basically. So
Okay, that's a lot of questions.
mhm.
Let's go like one at a
One
time.
by one, yeah.
I guess I would say who should not use AI is probably
Yeah,
an
okay, that's a good
easier
way to
question
put
to
it.
answer
Definitely.
because the reality is if you use a computer today or you expect to in your job, you will
Hmm.
use AI. And
Yeah.
to that end, people in my industry, there's a great company out there called PlayLab, and they build AI tools for teachers to learn how to build with AI. They're starting to refer
Hmm.
to AI as a normal technology, just like electricity. It's not like
Wow. Yeah.
when you use electricity, it's just always around. And to an
Hmm.
extent, the internet is also a normal technology now. It's not, we no longer ask the question, when do you use the internet and when not? Like our
Hmm.
entire lives are really powered by this online connectivity. And I
Yeah.
believe AI is the next version of that. So
Hmm.
right now we're in this like transition moment where some of us are using it every day. Some of us are probably using it too much, to be perfectly honest. But the vast majority of people are not. And that gap to me is actually more concerning.
Hmm.
I really worry about where people are mid-career who aren't learning this at work, and they're going to be expected to in their next jobs. I worry about students who are graduating
Hmm.
into an economy where maybe they've been told not to use it, and now they're going to be hard pressed to get a job that's sort of demanding it.
Yeah.
So I think and I also really worry about under-resourced populations that either can't afford licenses, can't afford paid licenses, or just don't have access to these tools. So that gap to me is widening at a pretty frightening pace.
Yeah,
Do you
definitely.
use it right now, like for
I mean, yeah, I
school and
use
for
it
work?
pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, I use it pretty regularly for like other projects I'm working on. And I mean, in school as well, like sometimes when I'm, like at least this past few years, I've been using it obviously not just like not to get an answer, mainly to like learn different concepts that I may not have understood, or just ask like maybe for a math problem. I asked it, like, I don't know how to do this. Could you walk me through this problem specifically? And then like give me more problems like this, to just help me really get the concept down. So it's definitely a good learning tool as well.
Yeah. How does that help you? Does that help you learn math?
Yeah, definitely. I've like some things I don't understand in class because actually what I'm taking is, I don't know if you've heard the IB curriculum.
Yeah.
So it's a very fast-paced course. And I'm also jumping from a math course where like a math course like below like kind of what was like the prerequisite, I guess, for that course. So I've
Okay.
had to adapt much quicker. So for things I didn't really understand, I'd have to, or if my teacher was going too fast, I couldn't, catch up enough. So I had to rely on AI a bit, which actually helped me a lot. So.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing is like you're learning how to use AI to solve your real problem, right?
Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
that's actually like the core of what this is all about, like using technology to solve your own problem. And you might also have learned something about how you learn. Like I'm curious, did it expose anything for you about either how you're being taught math or how you could learn it differently?
I mean, yeah, I know I've always been like a visual learner, so I need to
Yeah.
see like actual like illustrations of what's going on. But I mean, for I guess the AI model itself, though, I mean, it just comes out in like equations and stuff. So I don't think I actually get like a visual representation on like an AI usage compared to I think what a teacher can do, where they can like I guess draw illustrations much simpler and things like that.
That's a cool idea though, right? And you
Exactly, yeah,
probably
like.
could
Or
build an
visual
app.
learners who can make an app or
You
something
could
like
build
that.
an app to do that. I did not invite my bot to this meeting, but I'm experimenting with an app right now where the
Mhm.
bot joins the meeting and then it live whiteboards with you based on what you're talking
Oh
about.
wow, that would be really helpful, I think. Yeah.
So like, I think there's like a real benefit to doing exactly what you're doing.
Mhm.
Do people, is that like, is that part of what is encouraged in your school or is that discouraged as the
So
behavior?
it's a dicey area. I mean, obviously they want you to use AI because as you were saying, like you don't want like a divide or separation between, like I guess like who people who use it and can benefit versus people who can't really. So they're trying to encourage us to use it because I mean you're gonna have to use it in your career as well. But obviously since AI can also literally give you the answer and help you cheat and completely erase your learning abilities and things like that, they're kind of also dicey about for specific things you can use it on as well, I think. So
Yeah. There's a really heated debate in New York City right now about AI in schools, and
mhm.
there are actually some parents and there's some movement pushing the city to actually have a moratorium on AI for 2 years,
Oh shoot, yeah, that's
which is nuts to me.
yeah.
And I wrote a blog post about it a couple of days ago, which I can send to you. But basically,
Mhm.
like I spent like a year actually teaching everyone from like kindergartners to college kids about AI use. And
Mhm.
what I think is also kind of cool about going into classrooms and doing this with students like you is you are, as you're seeing, like learning what you like and don't like about the AI in real time. And like to be able to do that in like a guided, facilitated environment with a teacher is like actually sort of a dream. So it makes me
Mhm.
nervous.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous to think about not inviting that permission in at all.
Mhm. Because the teacher can be the regulator basically, like they
Totally.
can.
That's right. Yeah.
Definitely. I think, yeah, if it's just a safer way to use AI when, you have someone who's there and it's available. So I don't understand, why banning
Yeah.
AI.
But I even see, I worked with a group of high schoolers in New York City this year, and it was part of a design competition kind of challenge project. And I had them do research about the cybersecurity risks of vibe coding. So, like, if
Mm,
you're building apps with vibe coding or you've never built apps before, what are the risks that you would have for like a business owner?
yeah.
And it was like a group of 25 students. We had a great time because we made like TikTok reels. One group made like Roblox
Hmm.
video to sort of demo what
Oh,
they
wow.
learned.
Okay.
But at the end of the session, after like 4 or 6 weeks, I was like, did I win anyone over on AI? And only one hand went up out of like 20 or 25. I was like, wow. Um, like, why do you think that is?
Hmm. Oh, is that a question for me?
Yeah, like why do you think like what's your take on like why there's like so much negative sentiment with AI among like high schoolers right now?
Um, I think it's because I mean, my main thing is because it can literally help them, like, just cheat and get an answer. Like, I feel like people kind of discount what, like the morality of high schoolers. Maybe they're not built that, having morals, or like, being I guess kind of sensible. I think people may have that perception against high schoolers, and they won't
Mm-hmm.
usually look for like maybe like the easy way out or something.
Do you
That's
think
kind
that's
of
true?
maybe for a select few of the population of high school. I feel like a lot of high schoolers are determined. They have a direction that they want to go in life, obviously. So they may look for the easy way out on things that they don't think that may like benefit them in that maybe goal or set mindset they have. So maybe for like specific subjects and stuff. But I know a lot of people, at least in my school as well, there's like a lot of kids who, would not use it. They'd rather take the time to learn the concepts and stuff like that rather than actually trying to use AI. But
So it
I
sounds like
guess,
we should be trusting high schoolers a little bit more, maybe.
mhm, yeah, but I don't know. I think also my school, because I don't go to a public school. I actually go to a private school. So I guess I don't know. I'd have to also see with the public school district as well. I think I need a larger like, data sample or something like that to really understand what's going on there. For sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting
Mhm.
just to hear.
Yeah, I think studies on, seeing how high schoolers use AI is definitely the biggest thing, that one of the most biggest topics that we need to look in definitely into the future. So it's definitely something that's important.
Cool. Um,
Okay, so I guess that was a really, yeah, great long answer to the question. I guess kind of a discussion to the question. Um, but I guess my next question for you is, how have you like, used your enthusiasm, your fun and optimism to maybe, lead your networks, and why is it important to even use these type of skills that you have, or I guess innate traits that you have in order to, get to your networks and things like that?
well, I think that we all just if you come back to like AI is going to be as available as a resource as electricity or the internet. That
Hmm.
means the more technologies in our lives, the
Yeah.
more opportunity there is for different types of people to build and shape what that looks like. And
Hmm.
right now, we've all, whether we like it or not, we've all like fallen in an order of like websites that look a certain way or software
Yeah.
that's built a certain way. We
Mhm.
go to Instagram, we go to TikTok, we use the software, but
Yeah.
AI really invites us to invent and to make
Hmm.
things.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I'm really motivated by the idea of what inventions people can create when they throw the playbooks out completely.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I just saw recently OpenAI released like a stuffed owl, and
Hmm.
in the owl they put some chip with a sound chip, and the AI is a bird inside, and you can play bird sounds and attract birds of a certain sound nearby, and then it
Hmm.
helps you identify birds in your area. And
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, that's such a silly, dumb use of AI." And I actually think it's a brilliant use of AI, because what they're doing is they're showing that AI is around us everywhere, and that this
Yeah.
technology invites so many possibilities. And you don't
Hmm.
need to just be an engineer. You don't need to just have a degree from Stanford or a special pedigree in order to
Exactly.
do this stuff now. It's so democratized.
Hmm. Definitely. Okay, so it's your personal determination for, I guess, like what you can see AI becoming and what it actually is, right? That's kind of what drives you, I guess, to, using it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I think we've all been locked up in using software, but now we can all make software. And if more of us can make it, then we
Hmm.
can change how it looks. And then we don't have to kind of be ruled by these dominant players. We can like kind of take control over our own data and our narratives and our story. So
Hmm.
I think
This kind of
that's really exciting.
agency over corporations is kind of what gets you
Yes,
motivated. Okay,
definitely.
that's definitely a great, great mindset. I actually have to like adopt that. That's actually a pretty good take on it, definitely.
Yeah, I refer to it
Um,
as like technological agency a lot.
mhm, yeah. Okay, so my next question for you is, I know you were on like several different boards, right? I saw that.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to actually be on one? Why is it important to be on one? And how do you lead from a board perspective? And should other founders and builders also, know about the roles of boards and what they actually do?
Yeah, I didn't know a lot about boards until I started working
Mhm.
at a venture capital firm. So I worked for 5 years at a VC firm called Union Square Ventures. Have you heard of it?
Is it, wait, what was it? What was the first name?
It's
What
called
was it? What
Union
was it?
Square Ventures.
Oh, Union Square Ventures. I think I've seen it in some article or something. I don't know. I think I've seen it before. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're one of the most prolific early investors of the internet. It's over 20 years
Mhm.
old firm. Made a lot of investments in companies you probably know today, including Twitter
Mhm.
and SoundCloud and Etsy and
Yeah.
many others.
Mhm.
And when I worked there, I got to see how companies are started, but also how companies are governed. And one
Mhm.
of the
Yeah.
ways that companies are governed is through having a board of directors. And that
Yeah.
board is sort of what holds the founder or the CEO accountable.
Mhm.
And it often includes some investors, but it can also include like independent directors. So people who don't
Mhm.
work at the company, but they just sort of bring in an outside point of view. And
Mhm.
so that's like one way of being on a board. Those
Yeah.
are really hard positions to get. You get paid for them often. You can often get paid for them in equity. So you can get
Mhm.
like, stock options essentially
Yeah.
if you are sitting on a board. But it's really hard to sort of get a foot in the door there.
Mhm.
But I did get an independent director role for a crypto company really after spending
Mhm.
3 or 4 years deeply working in crypto, getting to know a lot of the founders in the space.
Mhm.
And then a founder friend of mine was looking for a member to join his board. So it kind of happened naturally through like a placement agency called Bolster, which was really great. But the easier way to get on a board is to join a nonprofit board. Now, the kind of annoying thing here is like,
Oh.
just like for-profit boards, nonprofit boards are governing bodies that help make organizations work. But often, because they're nonprofits, they can't pay you to be on the board, and
Mhm.
sometimes you
Yeah.
have to actually pay as a privilege. You donate to the institution. So that's not always possible, particularly for younger people. But I would say you can participate by giving either time or giving money.
Mhm.
So if there's an organization that you're drawn to, you can start by volunteering, and then you can start by taking a leadership role, and then maybe you could be on the board. And I was first on a board of directors for my university, actually for the Alumni
Mhm.
Association, and that was really motivating. I was really nervous. I was pretty
Mhm.
young to be on a board. And then I got on a second nonprofit board for a school in New York City called Comp Sci High, which is
Mhm.
very intimidating for me. I was like maybe 30 years old, and
Oh.
I've never run a school before, right? I had never run
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
company before. And it was honestly like, I'm very afraid to make decisions at the expense of students. But
Mhm.
the reason I was invited is because this particular school wanted to introduce new technology and career path opportunities to the kids that went there. So I was brought in as an expert in the tech
Mhm.
industry. So once I sort of figured out how to participate and bring my perspective and like be less intimidated by that, it's really been wonderful. And I've been on that board now for over 8 years. Seen the school
Oh.
through multiple transitions, feel a
Yeah.
lot more comfortable.
Mhm.
And it's really been one of my like professional highlights doing it. So I would say really like
Amazing.
look for the organizations that you're drawn to and get close to them enough to stick around.
Mhm. But for like, I guess, yeah, as you were saying, for the youth, probably you have to work your way up, like kind of a ladder to get to, that type of
Yeah, and
position.
I think volunteering is great. Like
Mhm.
I before I was on the Northwestern Alumni Board, like right out of school, I moved to New York a couple years later, and I became the social media secretary for like the journalism alumni club. Okay, that was not a
Oh.
paid position. It was a volunteer thing, and then I became the president of that club, and then I became the regional
Geez.
director for other Northwestern clubs, right? So it was probably like
Mhm.
5 or so years of consistent volunteering that brought my attention to the university at large when they were looking for the broader board. So all these things, it's really like consistency of showing up that really pays off in the long run.
All right, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so I guess like another part, so yeah, so founders should be part of boards and things like that is what you're probably saying as well, right? To, I guess like should founders and builders also be part of boards is kind of my question as well.
Yeah,
What's
I
your
mean, I think it's great. I think it's
Mhm.
not easy to find.
Yeah.
I think if you are a founder, you should
Mhm.
look for people to advise you. It doesn't even need to be a formal board to start. It can just be like a bench of people that you go to for advice. They could just be like advisors. You don't have to like be super formal about it. But I do think it's really, really helpful to get other perspectives, and being
Mhm.
on boards and engaging with boards is a great way of engaging with that sort of cross-team, cross-functional discourse.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so we can move on to my next question, and this is gonna focus more about like writing and you being a writer as well. So why is writing important to building? I guess
Hmm.
that's my first question. And how have you, I guess, maybe felt that or experienced that? And then how can one become a better writer as well? What's some tips on that?
Well, you become a better writer the same way you become a better builder, which is do it all the time, right? It's the same answer.
Practice, basically.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I went to journalism school, so obviously I liked writing, but actually the thing journalism school did in a bad way was scare the writer out of me, right? Because I
Oh,
went to a
okay.
very, very specific, highly structured school that
Mhm.
prioritized rules. We used
Yeah.
to have these tests at Northwestern where if you got one current event wrong or one typo or grammar mistake, you would get like a Medill F and you'd fail the assignment. Like,
Wow.
it was
That's
so hardcore.
very extreme.
Okay.
Yeah.
um and when you get like assessed so repeatedly about that thing, it just becomes
Mhm.
less fun. And
Yeah.
then when I grew up and got into the real world, and you see how people get slathered on social media for posting the wrong thing online, I just kind of became afraid to write
Mhm.
stuff. And the only way I could get past that was just to start like aggressively blogging as much as possible. So I've really like overshared a lot on my blog, but I
Mhm.
find that it really helps me clarify my thoughts and get things
Mhm.
out of my head. And
That's great.
now building is the same thing. So I've actually been blogging a lot less, but I've been building a lot more, but it's the same thing. I'm just like getting reps in of like
Mhm.
first builds, and that's how I'm becoming a better builder.
All right, that's great. So it's like a stress reliever for you now, basically, just
Yeah.
getting your anger out. That's amazing. Okay. So how is it maybe important for other builders as well? Or do you think it's maybe like a personal thing that you have going or
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it is personal for me.
okay.
But there's so many other benefits to it. So one
Mhm.
big benefit is I can see what I was thinking at an exact moment in time, right?
Mm,
And I can come back and be like, wow, look at where I was, look at where I am now. And like that's cool
mhm.
to sort of see that reflected.
Yeah.
The second is I've noticed that I'm writing about things ahead of the public consciousness
Mm,
of writing about it. So
mhm.
actually looking back at what I was thinking about 6 months ago sometimes says to me like, oh, now is the time where you could talk about that and get more engagement.
Okay. So it's
So
kind of like
that's
a time gap, basically.
yeah, there's like a little bit of a time gap.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like I'm like processing so much, and everyone who's working with AI, we're processing so much. Our context
Mhm.
windows are just going crazy that
Yeah.
I find it really helpful to just share out and practice distilling things down. And that's
Mhm.
also just a really helpful way of organizing thoughts down.
Mhm. Okay, that's great.
Do you like to write personally?
I mean, I used to, I mean, I've not done so much more as like recently, but I used to do like I used to go on Medium a lot and I used to post a lot of my blogs there. So I have like a lot about, my experiences with my dog, like my first dog, my second dog. But he like just blogging about, how my life with him has been like and things like that. So I think it's been quite a while since I've written, but I think I started writing since I was like maybe 9.
Oh
And then
my, that's awesome.
and then I consistently was posting until I was like 14. So it was,
Wow.
um, it's pretty cool. But I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, writing, it just like what you were saying, it helps you get your thoughts out, just gets everything out, and it's so clear to look at when you just look right into it. So it's
Yeah,
definitely
and
a good
also
way.
it helps me like this is like weird. It like helps me in like normal conversation. So like
Mhm.
I was really upset about some of these like rules around AI in education.
Yeah.
And I wrote a blog post about it
Mhm.
which I posted on Monday. And then on Monday I was like in a conversation with someone who was asking my thoughts about it. And I was able to basically just say the thing in like 2 or 3 sentences rather than
Yeah.
like word
Mhm.
vomit for 10 minutes because I'd already
Exactly.
like written the thing out.
And there's so much clarity once you put it down,
Yeah.
right? So it's yeah, it's definitely easier. So how is that? Like another thing I was thinking, like how writing can specifically help is maybe when you're like prompting AI and things like that, right? Definitely like having those skills, you're much more clear and you know what to actually ask it. So has that definitely helped you in prompting? I assume it's probably gotten.
Yeah, I mean, prompting is just about distilling information and translating it for
Exactly.
from a human's brain to a computer's interpretation layer. So,
Mhm.
do you do voice dictation for prompts yet?
I've not transitioned to that layer yet, but
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people like it's becoming like the new thing now, right? Where a lot of people are.
yeah, it's really powerful.
Mhm.
If you have a long internal monologue, you'll take to
Mhm.
it immediately.
Yeah. Okay. So you've moved to that voice, like now you're on the like voice prompting basically. That's what's going
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so my next question I guess for you is we're more centered around micro internships. I know you've mentioned
Oh
that
yeah.
before. So what is a micro internship specifically first? How does it work and why is it maybe important for maybe high school students to, get involved with micro internships?
I love this question. I'm very, very biased in this answer, so take it with a grain of salt. But I'm increasingly believing that project-based learning is the best way to learn something new. I sat inside a venture capital firm for 5 years, watching
Mhm.
amazing people, arguably the best people, run companies and the best people invest in companies. But you
Yeah,
actually don't learn shit until you try to do it yourself. Is
exactly.
actually the
You have to
truth.
get
Okay,
yourself
so
in.
like
Yeah.
okay, so once you sort of establish that, it's like you need to think about like how can I create as many opportunities to practice as
Mhm.
possible. And that's what I
Yeah.
think micro internships can help with. So
Mhm.
whether it's a summer job at a place you never want to work again, or even working at your retail storefront, or
Mhm.
helping your parent do their job on the weekends, or tutoring someone in a subject, like all
Yeah.
of that is just reps that count. And the best schools are ones that are introducing these opportunities to happen during the school year.
Mhm.
And that's where I've gotten the privilege of participating with a couple of those in New York City. But I really think no matter how old you are, getting those like project based reps with other areas is just
Mhm.
such a powerful way of learning stuff. Have you had the chance to do any internships yet?
Yes, yeah, I was just about to say. So, like I've been actually taking accounting classes, like
Cool.
accounting, because I'm interested in finance. So I've been taking like accounting and in business classes since like ninth grade. And I've been taking like one course probably per semester since then. So it's probably been like around 5 or 6 now. So it's a lot of conceptual theory about like just accounting, and I've kind of gone up actually to intermediate accounting. I've reached that stage. So this past summer though, I did like an internship at a hedge fund. Actually, I got the opportunity to do that,
Oh my
and
gosh, cool.
my God, it was such a good experience. I think I learned more there than I've learned through all of those courses for sure.
Right?
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. It's I mean, I was about to say like project based learning, like how you're saying. Like as soon as you said it, I was like, oh my God, that is so true. Like I can completely relate to that. Like even though it's only been one, I know I for sure have to do much more because I think that's definitely the best way to learn. You just have to throw
What do you
yourself
think
in the
is like
deep
the
end.
weirdest? What's like the weirdest thing that you learned at a hedge fund that you weren't expecting?
I mean, I thought it would be much more like, I felt like the environment itself, it was just very chill. Like I thought it was like much more like, rushed and fast paced. And maybe it was a specific one I was working at. That's why I probably had to get more experience. But I feel like it's just I don't know, like everyone was much more like laid back, and there was also really no direction. And I guess since this was also my first internship, there was no like direction and like, oh, you specifically have to do this thing, like it's just a certain like I guess like thing you have to like execute at a certain point, but there's no really path that you take to get to that. So you kind of have to find yourself through that own path as well. So that was kind
That's
of
such an amazing opportunity and lesson to
exactly, yeah,
learn. I love
definitely,
that.
yeah. So it was a very unique experience, and I think I definitely learned a lot more from that. That's probably the most I've learned from at least the career that I'm interested in. That's probably the biggest step I've taken toward that. So
Well, and here's what you got to make sure you do then. Stay in touch with them
definitely,
and
yeah.
keep people posted. And I think, this maybe, I don't know if you have a question about networking, but like people give networking a really bad rap, but this is a great opportunity, not because you want to work at that firm necessarily. Maybe you do, but chances are people at that firm know people who might want to hire you for your next thing, even if it's a completely different thing.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. So
the more you can like keep in touch with that network, that is how you build lifelong career friendships.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, I like the person I knew, I kind of know the person as well who worked there.
Cool.
So I got that through like my own like relative kind of. But I guess, yeah, like that's already an example of how having a network, right? I guess, but that's within your own relational network. So, but definitely, I think having a network, yeah, you're right, is definitely important to have. Yeah. So.
I have to hop in a minute, so I don't know if there's any like last thing you want to cover.
Okay, yeah, we can quickly go to, I guess, the last two questions. I think you can give quick answers to that. So I want to know, since I'm from a tech, like, I'm from like Tech City, SF, right? What is the tech scene in New York? How is that working for you? How is it maybe different in your opinion?
I love this question. I'm very biased and very pro New York City. I believe San Francisco might be the best place for technology to emerge, but New York City is the best place for technology to last because we are already embedded among this cultural diversity, all these different industries, all these different ecosystem pockets. I like that in New York City, tech isn't the only industry. It just gets kind of embedded into how we all operate. So that's been my impression.
All right, that's great. And my next question for you is, when are you launching that hackathon on a plane thing? I saw that was a really cool concept. I saw it was AeroHack. I think that was such a cool concept.
Oh my God. Well, that was sort of like a jokey concept, but I actually do want to do it. I would love a sponsor. So if there's anyone listening here who'd like to sponsor a hackathon on their
spend so much time in the air, so might as well, use that time, right? Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So definitely. I'm very excited for that. I was like, that's such a cool thing to be.
It'd be so much fun. Yeah. Delta Airlines. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time for the interview. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties earlier, but it was great talking to you.
No worries. Thank you for reaching out. Please feel free to stay in touch if I can help with anything else. It's awesome what you're doing. This is a really cool podcast.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Bye.